Hey, hi, welcome back to BR Knowledge Center. Now, in this today's session, we'll see what is this .NET CTS. So, in the previous session, we've seen the CLI, Common Language Infrastructure, wherein we have a CTS and CLS inside of the CLI. Now, we'll see individually what is the CTS. So, CTS is nothing but a common type system which contains set of data types and the operations. Okay, so when we talk about this in detail, right? Let me describe this common type system. Okay, describes the data types that can be used by managed code. You know what is a managed code? Managed code is nothing but, right, the code which is going to be executed on any operating system, right, based on the runtime. Okay, so unmanaged code is nothing but the code is going to be executed on same operating system or same platform. I can say in different way, managed code is nothing but a platform independent code. So CTS describing, right, the data types, that can be used by a managed code. CTS defines how those data types are declared, defined, and used in the managed code at runtime. Okay, CTS defines how those data types are declared and used by managed code in the runtime. Okay, if it actually facilitates cross-language integration like type safety and high performance code execution in different programming languages in the .NET. The rules defined inside of the CTS can be used to define your own classes. So the CTS contains the set of rules, right? So a set of types and operations on the types. So CTS deals with the data type overall, right? Like integer, string, character like this. Example, if you look at int, string, right, bool, etc. These are the data types. If you want to declare, right, emp id, like this, you need to define it, right? Okay, so the CTS contains the, right, declarations, okay, and the right syntaxes, how to define the rules inside of managed code, very clearly specified by the CTS. CTS deals with data types. So here we have several languages, and each and every language has its own data type. So as I said, .NET have several languages, right? C Sharp, VB.NET, F Sharp, VC++ or VC plus plus, J Sharp. So like that, we have a different programming language, but mainly we use this programming language. So these three programming languages are going to have their own data types. Like when it comes to same data types here, whatever I declared, right? These data types are different for VB.NET. In VB.NET, we need to define integer, right? This is integer. And of course, this can be defined like, right? Use dim int emp id as integer. This way you need to define VB dot. This also str emp name as string. So no semicolon is required. This is C# syntax, and this is VB.NET syntax. So, and these several languages are going to have different data types. Look at this different syntax and the notation defining of this. Variables are different. This is case sensitive and this is not case sensitive. You can define in capital letter or mixing of small and capital, and no need to specify semicolon as well. So when you talk about CTS, it is only dealing with data types, right? So all these languages are having, right? Each language, right? Having its own data types. And one language data type cannot be used, by other languages, right? But .NET Framework language can understand all the data types because of CTS. But in .NET, right, framework, other language data types can be understood with CTS. Okay. So when I talk about some in detail explanation of this particular thing, let me get to diagram of this. What is this CTS and this CLS? If you look at this diagram, right, I have a C sharp and I have VB. In C sharp, I define this as int for the integer variable, and in VB, it is integer. The C sharp is having compiler called CSC, C sharp compiler, and this is Visual Basic Compiler. When I compile this, these are going to be generating this CIL code, that is MSIL code. Inside of the CIL or MSIL code, it is being defined as int32 by CLR. This is the common data type which indicates both languages here. So when you specifically specify C sharp, it is converting into int. When you specifically specify in VB.NET, it is integer. But when it comes to common language runtime, the both data types will resolve with int32. This is what the common type system we use inside of .NET. That's why this .NET framework can understand other language data types with help of CTS. Okay, so C sharp has an integer type and VB.NET has an integer data type. Hence, a variable declared as an int in C sharp and integer in VB.NET finally after compilation, it uses int32. Okay, so this is what common type system, which is going to describe about this data types, right, which we commonly used by a managed code. Okay, and if we talk about this CLS, next one is CLS, right? This is common language specification. Okay, so common language specification is a standard which is a subset of CTS. It is a subset of CTS, that is common type system. It defines, right, a set of rules and restrictions that every language is having in .NET. Every language must follow, which runs under the .NET framework. The language which follow this set of rules are said to be CLS compliant. The languages which follow these set of rules are said to be CLS compliant. That means C sharp, .NET, VB.NET, F sharp, all these are CLS compliant. In simple words, I can say CLS enable cross-language integration and interoperability. So CLS enables, right, cross-language integration. That means VB.NET code can be integrated into C Sharp, right? Or C Sharp code can be integrated into VB.NET, and both VB.NET, C Sharp .NET code can be integrated into F Sharp with the help of a CLS. Okay, so that's what the benefit of this CLS. Okay, if we want to have some explanation on this CLS example, if we talk about C Sharp and VB.NET, right? In C Sharp, every statement must have semicolon, must have to end with a semicolon, right? It is also called a statement terminator. Statement terminator. But in VB.NET, each statement should not end with a semicolon. That is what specification. That means, as I mentioned in C Sharp, right? If you want to declare a variable emp id, right, you need to end with semicolon. Similarly, string data type, if you want to define emp name, should end with semicolon. But in VB.NET, right, I can use dim keyword to define a variable dim emp id as integer, dim emp name as string. If you look at here, these statements are not end with any semicolon. Okay, so the syntax rules which you have to follow from language to language is differ, but CLR can understand all these languages, right? And syntaxes. Because of this .NET, each language is converted into MSIL code after compilation, and the MSIL code is language specification of CLR. Okay, so did you understood? I hope like what is CLS? CLS contains the specifications of each language of a .NET. .NET is having different languages like C Sharp, F Sharp, VB. Each language specifications are going to be defined inside of this CLS. So CLS is subset of CTS because this common type system contains data types of language and operations. And inside of these operations and data types, you will be having specifications of each programming language, like what needs to be done if you go for C Sharp. You must end with semicolon. You must use int, right? And it is VB.NET, you must use integer and no need to end with semicolon. And C Sharp code is case sensitive. And VB.NET, it won't be, and like no need to follow the coding sensitive cases, either lowercase or uppercase. You can write it in any way, right? That is not case sensitive or kind of rules you have in VB.NET. Okay, so this is nothing but specifications which are already been defined in the CLS component. Okay, so and one more thing, as I mentioned, right? On top of this, we'll have a VES, I told you, right? This is nothing but virtual execution system. Virtual execution system. Okay, so I hope you clear about CLS. Coming to this virtual execution system, okay, this is nothing but a runtime system of the common language infrastructure. It is a runtime system of the CLR. So CLI, common language infrastructure. That means when you compile, when you are ready with your source code, if you want to compile it, you must have an infrastructure, right? Infrastructure is defined already. You have a infrastructure. Instead of infrastructure, you have a CTS and CLS. But you must have some runtime processor where it is going to execute your program. That is what virtual execution system. Okay, so it is a runtime system of the CLI which provides an environment to execute the managed code. So whatever code you derived from this individual language compilers, MSIL or CIL, that code can be executed with the help of VES, that is virtual execution system. Okay, so it provides direct support for a set of built-in data types. Built-in data types. That means integer, string, boolean, etc. The main purpose of this VES is to provide support, right? To provide support required to execute CIL instructions and set to the machine code, that is native code. Okay. The main purpose of, right, VES is to provide the support required to execute the CIL instruction set to the machine code, that is native code. That means final code where you're going to execute on the system. So this is simple component inside of common language infrastructure, which is going to provide execution environment to the managed code. Okay, so I hope you are clear on VES and the CLS here. Okay, thanks for listening to this video and please subscribe this channel for more videos. Thank you.